Welcome to the Reclaim Your Divinity series with your host, Amanda Cannon. I am an intuitive energy healer, light code activator, hypnotherapist, and a priestess of the Rose lineage. It is my pleasure to walk with you as a guide on your journey to reclaim your divinity. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, please go to amandacannon.net. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Reclaim Your Divinity series with your host, Amanda Cannon. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how you can radically transform the relationship with yourself. And so the self, it really is the most important relationship that you can have out of all of the relationships in your life. You know, we may think that our relationship with our children is the most important relationship that we could have, or the relationship with our loving partner. However, the relationship that you have with yourself, it actually dictates the relationships that you have with everybody else in your life. So it dictates the kinds of relationships that you have, the things that transpire in those relationships. So when you, in your relationship with yourself, when you are judging yourself, feeling shamed, bad about yourself, just have any sort of lower feelings, negative feelings about yourself, well, we tend to notice these things in other people. And so then we find ourselves judging others, talking negatively or badly about others, and looking or noticing things in others that we decide not to love them for, and therefore we can't have unconditional love for them. Also, on the other side of the spectrum, when we see people who are in their power, when you yourself are not in your power, and you see others who come across as really confident, they're bold in their statements, they're confident in their boundaries, then you can feel really intimidated or uncomfortable to be around these people, because these are traits within yourself that you are not allowing to be, that you're not allowing them to come to the front, you're not allowing them to shine. And so when we are in a radically loving union with ourselves, we are empowered, we are confident, we are bold, we put in our boundaries. And so, that's why feeling uncomfortable around those other people is sort of the shadow side of empowerment. So when you do feel unconditional love for yourself, that is when you're able to experience and feel unconditional love for others. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're likely on the spiritual journey, and you probably have some kind of resonance with desiring to reach that point where you can feel unconditional love for others. Because that's what the journey really is all about, isn't it? Is finding that love, that undercurrent of love that creates everything. So, we may put conditions on the love that we have for ourselves in so many different ways. And I'll give just a couple of examples. Maybe it's, a very common one. When I lose 10 kilos, I will love myself. Or when I look good in that size 10 dress that I once fitted into, I will love myself. Or when I get this mole removed from my face, I will love myself. Or when I find a partner who treats me well and truly loves me, then I will love myself. And often we don't even realize that we have these conditions on ourselves. We just don't even know it. So I'm going to talk about how we can identify these conditions that we put on ourselves to love ourselves in just a little bit. And, often we then put those conditions onto other people. When somebody behaves in a certain way that you don't agree with. So maybe they tell little white lies and you don't like that. So you're like, well, when you stop telling little white lies, I will love you. Or maybe it's a partner who doesn't take the rubbish out. And it's like, well, when you take the rubbish out, I will love you. Or maybe it's a friend who always pulls out at the last minute, says they're going to be there and then pulls out at the last minute. And you think, well, when you stop saying that you're going to be there and then start pulling out, well, that's when I'm going to fully love you. And instead of, accepting the person for who they are, we talk about these traits in that person to others. And we bitch about that trait in that person to others. And we're not fully embracing and embodying unconditional love, either for ourselves or for the people around us. Our parents are a massive one. How many of you can say that you unconditionally love your parents despite the flaws that you perceive that they exist, and that they embody, I should say? So when you are in complete loving union with self, when you feel unconditional love with self, you don't actually need to have any other relationships in your life. None. Because you in yourself, you can be the child, the inner child. You can be the parent, the loving parent that you always need. You can be the sibling. You can be the best friend, the cheerleader, and you can even be your own intimate lover. You have everything within yourself to provide yourself with all of those loving relationship needs that we seek outside of ourselves in others. We seek to get, the best friend who is there to support us and uplift us outside of ourselves. We seek the loving support of a partner who, caresses us and whispers sweet, nice things to us, outside of ourselves. And really, we can do that for ourselves. And I'm, of course, it's a wonderful thing to have human connection, and humans, we do need human connection. And what I'm not saying that you just need to go and be a lone wolf, but what I'm saying is that when you do show up for yourself and support yourself in all of those ways, when you can be your own lover, your own best friend, your own loving parent, your own happy inner child, well, you just wait and see how that transpires in all other aspects of your life, and most certainly in all the other relationships in your life. Because we all do want those really good friends who, they're there for us and they do uplift us and they answer our phone calls and they surprise us on our birthdays, and those loving partners who love us unconditionally, who are romantic if that's what you're into, who do all those beautiful things that you look for in a partner. But you need to believe that you are worthy of it and feel it within yourself in order to allow that in. So now I'm going to talk about, just show you how you can identify if you are in loving union with yourself. Do you fully love yourself unconditionally? So these are some things to consider, and it might be worth journaling about some of these prompts that I'm going to go over now. So if you want, you could pause this and go grab a pen and paper. And I also invite you to, when you're listening to this, to close your eyes, go inward to your heart space, and just feel how you feel in your body when I when I list these prompts, when I voice these prompts that I'm about to. Okay. So just closing your eyes and feeling into your heart and even into your stomach, into your womb space. And I'm going to ask you, are you really, truly comfortable with yourself? I mean, are you comfortable to be alone with your thoughts for extended periods of time? Do you enjoy your own company? And do you know yourself intimately? Do you feel comfortable in your body? Yakatokariki, shukariki, putokariki, otokari, hakria, putokariki, shukariki, putokariki. Just some light language there to activate within you. And do you know what it is that you truly desire? What you truly desire in your heart space without the input of family, friends, society, and the mind, without your own mind's conditioning. Can you feel into your heart and truly know what it is that your heart desires? Do you feel comfortable to be open and honest with yourself? Truly open and honest with yourself? Do you allow the space to go within and seek the answers? Do you feel comfortable to be passionately intimate with yourself? And I guess one of the biggest questions is, do you feel safe to be in this kind of relationship with yourself? Because people who are confidently in their power, they do have this kind of relationship with themselves, or they actively work on it daily. And so often we don't feel safe to be in this kind of relationship with the self, because women in particular, but all of us, have been oppressed in the past, in past lives, whether you were oppressed due to slavery, due to, women who were not allowed to voice their opinion, or being a peasant, or in the times that it wasn't safe for you to be yourself or be in power, or where you had to give up everything that you believed in order to not be killed. So there are many, many, many different reasons outside of this life that you are currently living that you may have not felt safe to have this beautiful, loving relationship with yourself. And so therefore, we learn to shut it down. And then we also have all the experiences in this current life that you are living that can deter us from having this beautiful, loving relationship with self, from staying true to ourselves and our heart and our own needs. So knowing this, and with the answers to the prompts above, how do you create this loving union with yourself? Now, there is way too much information to dive into here. So I'm going to go through as much as I can, but it's going to be pretty general because each individual has their own unique experiences, their own unique path, their own unique lessons that they're here to learn and to transcend. So it's all going to be different for everybody, but there are certainly going to be common themes. So I'm just going to go over generally what these themes are. So the number one thing is it all starts with mindset and the belief about ourselves. And first of all, when we talk about mindset, is we need to become aware of our own mindset and our own beliefs. And we can do this by witnessing the thoughts that we have. So witnessing the way that you talk to yourself in your mind. So when you are rushing out of the house and you drop the keys, do you call yourself an idiot? Or when you spill coffee on yourself, do you call yourself a name? When you have a conversation with somebody, do you later on reflect back on that conversation and criticize a lot of the things that you said and how you could have said this better and you shouldn't have said this and how you've embarrassed yourself by saying that? You know, what is the reaction that you have when you look at yourself in the mirror? Do you like what you see? Do you say positive things to yourself about what you see? Or do you focus on all of the things that you don't like? What do you say about yourself if you're looking at your full body in the mirror? When you're trying on clothes? And, you know, it can be, what do you say about yourself in the roles that you play in your life? As a partner, as a mother or a father, as a work colleague? Do you believe that you are doing the best that you can and that you are a student of life and you're always learning and growing and expanding? Or do you focus on the things that went wrong in the day or the guilt around decisions that have been made or the things that you might have done? So it's really becoming aware of these ways that we talk to ourselves, we criticize ourselves and our actions. And so that we can, with that awareness, start shifting the beliefs. And when we start to shift the belief, we work to reframe it, to change it to a more supportive belief. So, you know, the parent one is an easy one because so many parents, they get parent guilt. They yelled at their child or they went into rage or they did something that they're not happy with. And so we go into guilt and shame. Oh, I can't believe I did this again. I'm such a crap parent and, you know, I'm ruining my child and all of these, you know, things that we start saying to ourselves. And instead, we need to start shifting that reaction and reframing it. You know, this was a really good opportunity to learn about where else I need to heal. Other areas that I need to heal. This was a really good opportunity for me to do something different next time. What can I learn from this experience? I was doing the best I can. I understand I was really tired and I had these 1, 2, 3 other pressing matters on my mind and I was feeling overwhelmed. And I understand why I did what I did. You know, so shifting the belief. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what can you focus on differently? How can you talk about yourself differently? How can you uplift yourself? And so shifting this belief, it can be easy and it can also be challenging, depending on how deeply rooted the belief is, what sort of trauma that belief stems from. So I feel that it's really, really important, and what has worked for me is subconscious work, to go into the deep subconscious to really understand where these beliefs are rooted from, so that we can really get a hold of them at the root, remove them, and replace them with beautiful, new, empowering beliefs. So just like the garden, getting a weed and really uprooting it, pulling all of its roots out, and instead planting a beautiful rose to grow and blossom in that space where that weed once resided. And even if it's not subconscious work, whatever work, we often need some kind of healing, therapy, something to really help us shift out of these beliefs, to shift out of beliefs of feeling unworthy, feeling undeserving, unlovable, not good enough, feeling that we aren't worthy of abundance, of money, of love, of friendship, all of those things. And so the next point I'm going to discuss is, how do you treat yourself? Where do you put yourself first? Take time for yourself, prioritizing your needs. So this is a big one. And especially if you are a parent, because when we have the children to look after, the house to run, the house to clean, the work, the job to do, we often find ourselves putting our needs very last, at the very end of the list. But that's not showing yourself that you love yourself. You can truly show yourself that you love yourself by taking that long, relaxing bath, going on that nice solo walk, taking yourself to the gym, taking yourself out for coffee, sitting in the sun to drink your morning coffee uninterrupted. Whatever it may be, something that you enjoy that is downtime. It's not involving doing housework. It's not involving running errands or doing something for someone else. It's involving doing something that brings you joy, that fills your cup, and identifying your needs and voicing them. So maybe it is that you need to take a day off work because you're burnt out and you need a day of rest. And then when you take that day off, you actually do rest. Spend the whole day in bed, Netflixing. Maybe it's, just telling your partner that you just need a morning off from the kids. So you take yourself out to the beach on a Saturday morning, just you, and not feeling guilty about it. And this is the huge one. And I honestly don't expect you to not feel guilty about it straight away. It's taken me a long time of putting myself first and coaching myself into knowing that it's okay to put myself first. Like I literally have to soothe myself into it. It's okay to take time for myself. I deserve this. It is my right to have this time for myself. I work really hard and therefore I do need to look after myself so I don't burn out, so I don't get sick, so I don't lose my shit and yell and scream and be the person that I don't desire to be. So it really is getting confident in voicing your needs and your boundaries and prioritizing your needs and letting go of the guilt around that. It's also identifying people pleasing. Where do you say yes when you should be saying no? Where do you say no when you should be saying yes? For example, I'm not going to go out to lunch with my girlfriends because that means my partner's on his own at nap time or something. So the next point I'm going to discuss is, how do you feel about yourself? So how you talk to yourself is probably a good indication of how you do feel about yourself. But, what do you focus on about yourself, and what do you feel when you focus on certain parts of your body or certain parts of your personality? How do you feel when you think about the way that you interact socially? Do you feel confident, or do you feel out of place, awkward? How do you feel when you look at yourself in the mirror, when you are trying on clothes? What sorts of things do you say to yourself? How do you feel about yourself intimately, when you're intimate with your partner? How do you feel about yourself when you're walking through the shop? Those sorts of things, like, how do you feel about yourself? And, let's pay attention to this. Let's become aware of this. And let's try and identify, are we feeling mostly good about ourselves? Or in truth, are we feeling mostly not so nice things about ourselves? And where can we change our focus? Where can we identify how we are being very harsh on ourselves, very critical of ourselves? If you were observing this thing that you don't feel so good about yourself in your best friend, how would you respond to that? If it was your best friend who was carrying an extra 2 or 3 kilos, whose size 10 pants got a little tight, you wouldn't say horrible, nasty things about them. And how can you change your focus? So if there is something that you do want to change your focus on, how can you make healthy and beneficial actions? How can you take healthy and beneficial actions? So maybe, if it's teeth, you want to get your teeth straightened and whitened, you can go to the dentist and get quotes and all that sort of stuff. If it's pigmentation on your face, you can go to the beauty therapist and speak to them about different serums and stuff that you can use. If it's weight, what kind of changes can you make to either gain or let go of weight? And how can you be empowering in these choices that you are making? How can you be empowering the whole way through your journey? How can you support yourself in a gentle and kind, loving way? How can you support yourself like you would expect your best friend to support you, or your loving partner to support you? So the next point I'm going to discuss is compliments. How do you receive compliments? Now, someone says, "Oh my God, you look fantastic today." Do you say, "Oh, really? Oh, this, I just got this shirt from Kmart, whatever. Oh, it's nothing. Oh, it's nothing new." Or do you say, "Oh, thank you. I feel fabulous." If someone says, "Oh, I love your new hair. I'm loving your hair today." Do you just fob it off? Or do you embrace it, and do you receive it with confidence and grace? And do you allow it to lift you up and make you feel good? Oh, yes, thank you. Because those words, they are activating. Everything that exits the mouth, every word that's ever spoken is an activation. And so you can allow somebody's words to activate you, activate yourselves, lift you up. Or you can reject it because you don't feel like you're worthy of receiving the compliment. And speaking about receptivity, how do you receive anything in general? You know, if you're out to lunch with a friend and your friend offers to pay, do you receive that? Or do you, have an argument about it? No, I'll pay, no, I'll pay, no, I'll pay. Do you allow people to gift you nice things? Do you, receive? And I've got a good example here. When I was in the midst of lack, I had taken my kids to McDonald's, and we had gone inside to eat, and I'd ordered, and I'm getting my card out to pay, and the woman behind me just jumps up behind me and taps her card on the machine, and she paid for the meal. And I was like, wow, thank you so much. I can't believe you just did that. But in that moment, I felt like a charity case. I felt like I must have been oozing poorness, lack, scarcity, in order for her to feel compelled to pay for my meal. Or if I was in my power, I would have, felt that I was oozing beautiful, high vibrational, high frequency vibes, that I was oozing friendliness and love. Because when we do get into our power and we do ooze those kind of vibes, then things like that start to happen. And I could have received that payment with, thank you so much. Do you want to come and sit down with us? Whatever, however that could have transpired if I'd not been in that lack scarcity state. And another point, which probably should have gone up with how do you talk about yourself, but how do you talk about yourself to others? Do you joke about yourself all the time? Do you joke about how silly or stupid you are, or how you always make mistakes, or how you're so clumsy? Or do you joke about, I don't know, just anything that is not so nice? Because even when we're joking about ourselves, that's an activation as well. And even though you might be saying it jokingly, how much of it is actually true? Or do you talk about yourself in a proud way? This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm achieving. This is the life I'm creating. This is how I feel. I feel so good all the time now. I've done all this work on myself and it's amazing. I've never felt better. Are you a leader in how it is to feel good and love yourself and talk proudly about yourself? Or do you have the belief that talking proudly about yourself or boasting about yourself is just being cocky and, is not accepted? Because I'm of the belief that we should be encouraged to celebrate ourselves and talk proudly about ourselves and love ourselves openly. That should be the new social norm. And that is what I am leading the way in. And that's what I am helping to create here on earth. And how do you allow others to treat you? What sorts of things do you put up with from others, from your parents? Are you an adult who still allows your parents to parent you, to tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing, to criticize you, to criticize the way that you parent? Do you allow your loving partner to treat you in not so loving ways? Do you allow them to come home from work and sit on their butt and do nothing whilst you do everything? Do you allow them to do things behind your back? Do you allow them to talk not so nicely to you? What about your friends? Do you allow them to take advantage of you? Do you allow them to, for them to treat you as their emotional punching bag? What sorts of things do you allow into your life from others, from your relationships? Because what you should be allowing into your life and not settling for anything less than is unconditional love from others, support from others. Yes, others may have a differing opinion to you or the way that you do things, and maybe you can have a constructive conversation about that. But don't allow it to become toxic. Don't give our power away to others. Do you do things to please others? Do you make decisions to please your parents? What changes can you make in your life in that way? And this next one, how are you intimate with yourself? So I'm sure most people are intimate with themselves at least at some points in their life. Maybe it's quite often. But how are you intimate with yourself? Are you passionately intimate with yourself? Because becoming passionately intimate with yourself is a powerful way to transcend many self-imposed limitations, especially around self-love. You know, it is okay and it is encouraged to become confident in your own skin, to get to know your body and love your body and feel safe in your body. You know, these things, to become passionately intimate with ourselves, to put your hands on yourself and to enjoy your body and feel your body and experience your body. That is something that is so powerful because it gets the sacral center open. It gets your Kundalini life force energy flowing. This is truly the life force that ignites you from the inside out. This is the sort of energy that just gifts you this, you know, feeling of empowerment, of aliveness, of confidence that makes you radiate, that makes you glow. You know, a really great thing or a great way to become confident with yourself and start experience intimacy with yourself is to dance naked in front of the mirror, and to do this consistently until you truly feel comfortable with what you see. To truly love your body for all that it is, all of it. To accept it for the way that it is now. Because when you truly love and accept it for the way that it is now, you'll find that that's when the changes that you were trying to manifest start to happen. And it's so important to know that being intimate with yourself, touching yourself in a passionate, romantic, loving way is not something to be ashamed of or feel weird or dirty about. Society from, you know, centuries ago may have told you that. But once upon a time, it wasn't shamed. It was perfectly natural and it was a part of life because it is life. It is who we are as an energetic being here in this reality. We carry this life force energy with us, this sexual, sensual energy with us. And it's not there to be put away, shoved away, made dormant and forgotten about. It is powerful and it is creative and it is how you manifest your dream life. And if you aren't allowing this connection with yourself, you're cutting yourself off from receiving so much bliss and joy in all areas of life. And then finally, I've got here that to spend time connecting in with your womb space and your heart space is so vital in cultivating this loving relationship with yourself, because this is how you truly get to know yourself, get to know who you are without the constructs of the mind or society, get to know the essence of you, because the mind is not you. I'm going to say that again. The mind is not you. The mind is a whole lot of thoughts and ideas and beliefs that are more often than not created based on experiences outside of your control. And so therefore, it often doesn't serve you. The mind's beliefs often do not serve you. So yes, the mind is helpful in taking steps and taking action and working out problem solving when you are in alignment, when you are connected with your heart and your womb space, and then you allow the mind in, it is super helpful. But when you are disconnected from your heart and womb space and you're living from your mind, I'm going to tell you now, more often than not, you're living in the past based on past conditioning. And it doesn't serve you now. It doesn't help you to create the beautiful life that you desire, the beautiful, loving relationship with yourself that you are entitled to have, that you are expected to have. Because the real you lies within the wisdom and truth within your body. That golden light, that life force energy within your womb space. That is you. That is the you that you need to get to know. You know, and if you are on the spiritual path, so often we spend so much time trying to connect with our higher self. We want to experience our higher self. We get guidance from our higher self, which is fine. And we need to embody the energy of our higher self in this life, in this body here and now, on earth right now. Because there's no point in living up in the cosmos or living in the mind, because that is not what you came here to do. You incarnated here on earth right now to create in this lifetime. You are here to connect with your higher self and bring that beautiful knowledge, wisdom, energy, and gifts of your higher self into this time-space reality to help humanity, to uplift humanity, to be a leader in self-love, in self-embodiment. And that is actually the final piece, embodiment. So as you go on this healing journey and you start to rediscover yourself, your heart, your womb, transcend your beliefs, reframe your beliefs into supportive ones, to grow those roses and become the rose. You need to embody this. You need to embody this new way of being by setting the boundaries, by treating yourself right, putting yourself first, saying no to relationships that are not loving and supportive of you, of your life. You need to embody these things, do these things, because that's the only way that real transformation happens. Because when you can truly be with yourself, feel yourself, express yourself, experience yourself, and to love yourself, not only do you radically transform the relationship that you have with yourself, but you transform literally every aspect of your life. Every aspect. I'm talking everything. Your whole perception of the world changes. And so does the relationships, the other relationships that you attract in. So that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning and listening in. It is my absolute passion to help you on your journey to radically love yourself, because everything that I have just expressed and been through, talked through, that's my journey. I've literally gone from criticizing myself, talking badly about myself, you know, all of the things is where I've once been. And some things I'm still working on, but it's always a work in progress. It's never going to be complete. But I have reached that point where I am so aware now that I can pick up when I am not in loving union with myself, and I can bring those beliefs to the surface to be experienced, witnessed, reframed, those roots pulled up, the new seeds planted. And I'd love to help you do the same, because I am a leader for this way of being. And it is everybody's birthright to experience this way of being. And if you are feeling called, if you are feeling ready to experience radical transformation within, so that you can experience radical transformation without, then you can book a call with me, a free call. The link is in the description box. We can have a chat and discuss how I can help you radically transform your relationship with yourself so that you can experience and embody this new way of being that I talk about. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. It's been my absolute pleasure to share this time and energy with you. And until the next episode, which I do hope will be weekly now instead of fortnightly. But until the next one, take care. I hope you did receive some loving guidance, tips, something useful to take away. And I look forward to the next one. Namaste. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you liked the content, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And if you feel that there's someone in your life who could use this loving guidance, share around to spread the love. Namaste.